live, guys. We're back. It's me and Chris, Miscellaneous and Brown, and y'all.
Big 3-4. It is the big 3-4 today. We were recording on
Guilty on all 34 counts.
34.
Guilty. Oh, it feels so good. Sweetness.
It feels good.
Sweetness, justice, sweet justice.
Made my day. And I
made
love
my fucking last 8 years.
Yeah. Oh man. It was nice it was really great to just kind of balance it out how our days are going. I know you've been focused on that. You've been reading the news more than I have. I was in a nice Filipino event I'll talk about later, but what I'm wearing is kind of like the traditional like Filipino stuff, which we'll get to as well. But I mean, that's kind of telling of how our days are. But yours definitely is the more celebratory one. Mine is very and happy, and this is where we should be going. So this is very telling. And we didn't plan this. We didn't plan what we were going to wear.
No, this was totally. We found out. We were texting each other right when we were jumping on, and you because the news came right when we were about to jump on. But it really doesn't change what we want to talk about today, to be honest, because I really wanted to talk first about the stupidity of that old Harrison Butler or whatever the fuck, the Kickers speech. Yeah. And everyone should have been paying attention to Ken Burns' speech. Yeah. Because he was saying those were some bars. You want to talk about a hip hop battle. Those were some bars with Ken Burns. Yeah. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, stop this video and Google Ken Burns' commencement speech and watch that shit. And then this conversation will have more context and subtext. But
more context, but definitely just, I mean, it fits in with the rest of the day, right? The stuff that he was saying.
It really does. Because it boils down to we don't have a choice in this election. There is only one choice, only one vote for this election. That's to reelect Joe Biden so that this foolishness of ridiculousness and now guilty on all 34 counts. Yeah. Orange fool is not even close. Will never smell the Oval Office ever again.
Yeah. Are we really electing a convict? Like, I mean, bottom line, like, you guys are really okay electing a convict, right?
I mean, and what's his platform going to be? Reelect me so I don't go to jail. Yeah. That's pretty much what it's going to be.
Yeah. But he has followers that like, okay. Like, that he's going to have the followers to be able to say that anyway. Like, oh, Trump needs us to keep him out of jail. Let's vote for him. And that's okay with them. That's the scary part, right? And just ridiculous.
Well, I mean, and the thing about it is with all of this, it's almost hard for me I'm getting old, man. It's hard for me to keep getting mad all the time about this stuff, everything. It's hard for me to keep my level of rage up so high all the time for every single issue and every single war and every single, atrocity that's going on in the world. Because if I was doing that, I'd stress myself out. I don't know. I don't even know it's hard for me because like I'm on the internet and I see what's going on in Palestine and I see what's going on in all over the place. And is it escapist to think about like the Kendrick and Drake beef or or Wolverine and Deadpool movie or all these things, or is it just trying to survive in this crazy world that we all have to live in, that we've all lived in for a long time? And I understand that, the current genocide that's going on in Palestine is horrible, but there's a lot of other things that are going on in our own country right now that we have to look at and see. I mean, one of the people who half the country wants to be a president is a convicted felon. He's guilty on 34 counts. He's guilty. 34 guys, 34 counts. So, it's hard for me logically to wrap my head around where this guy was saying, I'll be a dictator from day one and then have revenge on all my enemies, and then we'll go on to making America great again. And I'm like,
That doesn't sound right. But I will say, and I will quote one of your first episodes. I believe this was with one of the local electeds who are running there in LA. But all politics is local, and you take that for what it is. But I want to use it in the context of how do we keep our sanity? You are very well informed. You're always on the internet. You have all these things, but like, how do we, as we get older, refocus and make sure that our country will be okay for our children in the future? You keep it local. All politics is local. If we could focus on some amazing candidates that you've interviewed, that we've had on the show, that people up here in Sacramento and Northern California, these folks, I'm hearing it. These are the ones that are inspiring me. These are the ones who, yes, at the end of this event I was at, I heard the news about Trump. Fine. At the same time, I'm coming off of this high of this inspirational candidate who's will be the first Filipino American state senator of California. Right. And so those are the things that keep me up. And so hopefully
say his name, homie. Don't just be will be, and say his name, say it loud and say it proud.
Christopher Cabaldon. He's got a great name, but Christopher Cabaldon, longtime West Sacramento mayor, 24 years in West Sacramento, made this city what it is, just an amazing individual, well-rounded educator, recognized by Obama, literally recognized as one of the top mayors of the country for many, many years, is running to be our first Filipino American state senator representing District 3 in Northern California. And so all this funny stuff.
That's what the barong was for, right? That's what you're at one of his events and you're wearing a barong because you didn't want to wear a suit.
Yes. So this fun barong that my wife bought me, I got it short sleeve because it is hot as hell here in Sacramento. And while all my colleagues that were at this luncheon were dressed like they were supposed to be at the Capitol with their 3-piece suits, they looked at me, they said, "That's really nice." I said, "Yeah, and it's nice and cool. More importantly, I'm not sweating like you guys in your ties." So and I'm representing, the motherland. So
see, I always like to wear no undershirt with my barong, and I want it always to be see-through. So I have to always be in real good shape when I wear barong. Like my wife made me wear an undershirt for our wedding, but I would have went shirtless under my barong for my wedding if my wife had let me.
Yeah, let's be real
My
about
wife
why
allowed me a lot of things on our wedding night, including alcohol poisoning. So I'm cool. The fact that she's still with me, I'm just happy.
God bless our wives. That's amazing.
For real.
So back to
Go ahead.
Today. I mean, what are your initial thoughts? What were you feeling right when you got the news? Like, what was that about? Like, I mean,
you know what? I have to kind of flex the person who shared the news with me because I was in the middle of a shout out to FD Signifier on YouTube. I listened to that and I've been watching all his videos. I've been kind of lost in a rabbit hole of all his videos, really good videos about culture and how to be an ally for the Black community and just all different really great videos. Culture breakdowns, hip hop breakdowns, really good videos on YouTube that I've been kind of in a rabbit hole. So I wasn't actually following the news. I wasn't on Threads or anything like that, looking to see what was going on because I knew the verdict was going to come. And to be honest, I would have been extremely surprised if he wasn't found guilty on all counts. Because if you follow, I mean, I didn't really follow the trial, but at the same time, we all know this story. Michael Cohen went to jail for 1.5 years because of this story. I mean, we knew that, individual one was Donald Trump, and we knew that he was a part of a criminal conspiracy to disrupt the election. All the way, we even memorized the fucking terms. I can even say them without even thinking about it because it comes out easily.
Yeah.
So we know. I mean, on this side, we understand, and he's been getting away with almost everything except murder when it comes to everything. When he said he could shoot somebody on 5th Street or whatever the fuck, it's ridiculous, but at the same time, it's kind of true.
Yeah,
because there's still people now. I'm trying not to get my news from MSNBC or CNN. Yeah. And of course, I've never really watched or can even stomach Fox or any of those, News Nation or whatever that, all those other right wing,
whatever that is,
stepchildren of Fox News. But I also, part of the reason why I don't is because they have like a guy, like what was it? I can't remember his name now, but he was like a representative for Huckabee to talk about Trump's thing, and then I'm like, well, why don't you talk to Jasmine Crockett or or AOC or somebody like that? Why is the first politician that you, or even a person who's in proximity to a politician, is the first person? Goodley, Megan Goodley, or Evan Goodley, or whatever. This weird bowl cut, creepy looking, dude that was anybody who would work for Mike Huckabee. Come on, let's be real.
Yeah,
any of the Huckabees. I mean, they're just no. So.
No.
But that's who they got as the, which is why I can understand if you're watching the news and you're trying to stay involved and you're trying to be, informed. And then I remember I've been watching a lot of, perspective on Jon Stewart and stuff, just for practice on what we're doing. And I look back to the, I think it was the early 90s when there was a show called Crossfire on CNN.
Yeah.
And it was
Chris
say it again.
Was it Chris Matthews? No.
It was Crossfire, and it was with Tucker Carlson and Paul Begala. And they would argue, but John pointed out the idiocy and the futility of their arguments, because it was always they just spoke talking points back at each other, and it was almost like theater, and nothing was ever resolved, or no one ever really won a debate, because it wasn't really a debate show. And he kind of pointed that out. And at the end of the day, that both sidesism that Jon Stewart pointed out in the late 90s is still there. You still, I don't want to hear what Marjorie Taylor Greene has to say about a damn thing. She lost me when she was interrogating and chasing school shooting survivors down the street when they were trying to talk to Congress, and she was berating them and screaming at them. And this is before she got elected, and probably what got her elected, because at the end of the day, the Republicans of today, the Trump Republicans, the whole platform is just cruelty and bullying. And how do you stop a bully? You stop a bully by bullying them back. And I love that I'm using B words, because you bully them back by saying bleach blonde, bad built, butch body.
Yeah.
Exactly what Jasmine Crockett did. That's what I want all Democrats to do from now until November. Figure out where they can shiv these stupid idiots, because at the end of the day, that's what they are. Let's be honest. Marjorie Taylor Greene is an idiot. Donald Trump is an idiot. Ted Cruz likes to go to Cancun. I mean, let's remind these people of the things that these awful human beings have done. That's all we got to keep doing. And also, I don't know about y'all, but I didn't forget what happened 4 years ago. If you ask the question, are you better off 4 years ago? Let's remember where we were in 2020.
Yeah. It wasn't that long.
We were here, but only here. We could only talk to people right here. And this, this.
Yeah.
We were stuck in our houses. And because, homie was telling us to inject bleach. And
yes.
And and it was gonna go away. Remember, it was gonna go away. Don't worry, it's gonna go away. Trust, it's gonna be gone. Remember that?
Yeah.
All of that stuff. I don't forget. No. And if I need to remind y'all of how bad it was during the pandemic, and specifically how bad it was for Filipino nurses who were on the front line, who were forced and ill-equipped to fight that pandemic, especially in the first months and throes, and we became some of the most all the casualties of the hospital. There was such a large percentage of Filipinas and Filipinos who were on the front lines of that fucking pandemic. I'll never forgive him for that shit. And I'll never let any Filipino forget what they did. And I'm sure there are a lot of other Filipinos like me who, I mean, I lost 5 friends during that pandemic, and they all worked in a hospital. So if people need to remind themselves of what was going on during that time, be reminded that we were losing hours that were on the front line during that pandemic.
Yeah.
And this guy could have done a lot more. He dismantled the disease control, virus control department that Obama and Biden, and not even Obama and Biden, George W. Bush had set up. Because even his dumbass was smart enough to know that you can't debate with a virus. You can't lie about a virus.
Yeah,
you
this
can't.
is science. That's ridiculous.
And that's why, for me, like, if this podcast serves as anything, if it's the Filipino American voice, just to remind y'all that we are in a much better shape than we were 4 years ago and 6 years ago, and however many. That 4 years was the worst 4 years of my American. I was not proud to be an American during those 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been been not proud to be an American in other times, like with George W. Bush. I was never proud of that guy, but he's small potatoes compared to what Trump could be, and what he's implying.
Yeah.
I mean,
and so, let's remind folks at the same time, let's know, like, why are we going to go back to that? Like, why are you even considering, like, you may not have learned everything from it, but it wasn't great. And I don't know why you're trying to revisit this and for whatever, like, why even be on the fence about this? Right.
It's like what Ken Burns said. There is no choice, because I get it. I get it about, the main issue when it comes to young folks. I would guess, if you would say, if I look at my TikTok feed, it's the war in Palestine and everything that's going on between Israel and Palestine. And I understand where Biden's stance on it has been kind of weak at best, because at the end of the day, even if he wanted to stop it, he's fighting against 30 years of the military industrial complex funding Israel and propping them up in that region for however long. It's not like if Biden said stop the funding right now. Israel already has a surplus of whatever they need to continue whatever the hell Netanyahu wants to do, because that puts us in a very precarious situation when it comes to this election, when you want to stay home or you want to have a protest vote. Now, I understand if you have relatives in Palestine, or you have people who are affected by the war. I'm not going to tell you anything. I can't say anything to you. But at the same time, for those that are, I understand, who are just like me and just trying to empathize with the situation, and because we're all powerless to the situation, right? That's what it is at the end of the day. It's hard to feel powerless, but when it comes to big, huge wars like this, it's hard for any individual to do anything other than hopefully push forward a better tomorrow, a better situation for the next day, because that's all we can hope for. I've been wrestling with a lot of these issues in my head, because we have this podcast, and I look at all the things that we are covering and what we're talking about, and what I think is not being said in the mainstream media. And like you said, the local, who in the mainstream media is interviewing local politicians who are going to decide on issues that are affecting you in your day-to-day life, because that's what local politicians are. That's what it was a trip, because I had 2 calls with my agent this morning. The first one was him congratulating me on this podcast and how well it's doing, and also to tell me that he's figuring out a way that we can get Nick Schultz, who's the mayor of Burbank, and he's running for state assembly here in our district. And he's been wanting to be on the podcast, and the schedules have not been whatever. They haven't fixed. It hasn't been worked out, but my agent is pushing to have it work out, which is really incredible because, when you have an agent who believes in you like that, it's pretty awesome. And then he called me again later on in the morning to say, hey, I also got an audition for you. So like, that's for me, I'm like, oh, and then I got a podcast with Chris, and then I got a show tomorrow at the house, at the House of the Broken Rose. And it's sold out. Okay, life is good. I'm broke as fuck, but life is good. and Trump, 34 guilty counts. I mean, you take your wins when you can with everything. And I think it goes the same with pop culture and what you want to post on the internet and what you want to, like I understand and I empathize with those folks who are constantly posting stuff about what's going on in Palestine or what's constantly going on in the Congo, or, there's a lot of conflict going on all over the world. And, our country has done a lot of bad things. Russia, China, everybody, there's a lot of bad going all around the world. And part of it is just really just trying to put a little bit of good out there instead of all the bad is kind of where I'm at with this. Like, I mean, if you're a Trump fan, you probably think it's all negative that I'm putting out there, and that's fine, because at the end of the day, if that's it, if you think that I'm negative because I don't like Trump, then you probably should stop watching.
This isn't the show for you. I don't know how you. It's definitely not the show for you. I don't know what you clicked on accidentally, or maybe you misspelled miscellaneous. I don't know.
Yo, but you know how easy it is to find our show? You can just look for my first special, Miscellaneous Brown, and all of our show comes up on that. So you can, if you're finding ways you want to share the show with other Filipinos, you want to share the show with other Filipino Americans, you want to share the show with your other homies because it's cool and you like it, then just share it, because that's really the only way we're going to be able to get to more ears and more eyes, is if you guys share it and write reviews, comment. If you disagree with us, comment. Tell us you disagree with us. Tell us what you want us to talk about. All these things. The more interactive we can get with our audience, the better.
More importantly, I think with the timing of you saying interactive and getting folks, here's a fun one. Who's Miscellaneous and who's Brown?
For me,
imagine the name if we're saying like we're the co-hosts for this show, and the show's Miscellaneous and Brown. So are you the miscellaneous one? Am I the miscellaneous one?
No. The miscellaneous is the subject matter.
Yeah.
And then the brown is us.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Got
Miscellaneous and brown. And that's why I wanted to keep it open so that we could talk about everything. Because like we've talked about hip hop, we've talked about politics, we talk about Trump, we talk about, but at the same time, like I want to start talking about Filipino American masculinity and all these different other things. There's, I've been following this chick, I shouldn't say chick, but I'm just an old school dude. But I've been following this Filipina, a better way. I've been following this Filipina on the internet, on Instagram, called the Brown Psych. Have you seen this lady? No. She is a Filipina who is a licensed psychologist. I think that's her title. She's a licensed psychologist, and she gives out kind of almost generational trauma and dealing with generational trauma tips online for Filipino Americans specifically. Like she'll do some segments of her videos in Tagalog, and I would love to have her on the show and have her talk about her journey and how she got to where she is, and how she's how she's opened herself up, and become so vulnerable with her own profession to open herself up and let her techniques be known so that she can help other Filipinos online who maybe wouldn't go to a psychologist or wouldn't go to a psychiatrist. So I love that stuff.
So it's an Instagram page or YouTube called the Brown Psych.
It's on Instagram. She's on Instagram. I started following her on Instagram. It's the Brown Psych because she commented on my I think she commented like some laugh emojis on my Joe Coy joke with my mom from Miscellaneous Brown, where I talk about how Joe Coy is my mom's favorite Filipino American comedian. Maybe I'll be my mom, that one. And she commented on it. She's like something about second generational trauma or some shit, but it's true.
All right, let me see this person.
I think she's got what are those underscores in between the brown psych, if I'm not mistaken.
Got it. Yeah, and she is she has her side, so she's got it.
Yeah, she's really cool.
Okay.
I'd love to have her on the show.
Just make sure you tag her and be like, maybe that's the only caption you put for Instagram. Like, watch this episode, but more importantly, at the Brown Psych, we want you as our next guest.
Bro, that's the great thing about StreamYard is we can segment all these episodes out into 1 minute segments, and we can take this little segment and we can be like, this segment is dedicated to the Brown Psych, and we just want you to come to our show. So please, Miss Brown Psych, we'd love for you to talk about all of those therapeutic Filipino American issues that you talk about on Instagram. Talk about them on our show.
Yes. And we have new issues we'd like you to
that'll
solve.
That'll be the 1 minute segment for Brown Psych.
There you go. Hello, Dr. Brown Psych. We have some more issues we'd like you to solve. So keep us in business. We keep you in business. We've got a lot of issues that need to be resolved by a professional licensed psychologist. Thank you.
But in the meantime, we should start talking about some of these current events that I wanted to talk about, because the first is Nimrata Haley. And just I mean, she got not caught. I mean, she was not trying to hide it.
No,
she signed Finish Them with Love, Nikki Haley, on a missile that was going to be arriving to the contributing to the Israel onslaught. And I just it's just disgusting. It's just, I don't even know what to say anymore. But it's also because I've been watching a lot of Black content creators comment on Candace Owens. You know, and like how in a lot of ways she has sold out her skin color for attention from the conservative side. And in a lot of ways, when a person whose given name is Nimrata, and she wants to be called Nikki, and she says that she believes that there's no more racism in America, I'm as a delegate of the AAPI community, I would like to be the first to nominate Nikki Haley as a trade, put her on the trade block. Just saying.
Just immediately
put her on the trade block. Let's put her on the trade block. She want to be white so bad, we should trade her over to the white side, because it's kind of disgusting at this point, you know. And then you got guys like Vivek Ramaswamy, and you know what made me happy about that is that he had Ann Coulter on his podcast, and she's always kind of gross, and she's always horribly racist and very, very she's always been that way. I mean, I've seen her on Bill Maher when Bill Maher was still cool, and like when he wasn't all libertarian, but like I've seen Ann Coulter for years. She's been kind of gross for years, especially if you're a person of color. But I have to admire her, because when Vivek Ramaswamy asked her if she would have voted for him on his podcast, she looked at him directly in the face, just like I'm looking at you, and she said, "I wouldn't be able to do it because you're Indian." And then went on to explain how America was a WASP country. Now, whenever you use the term WASP, you already know you're dealing with a racist, because they use that term WASP. I don't even know why they would use that term WASP, but anytime you want to be talking, if you're talking to a white person and they refer to themselves as a WASP, you should probably run. Yeah, that's just me. But I wanted to play this because you said you hadn't seen the video. But I want to play this video also just to prove what I'm saying, but also because I want this to serve as a reminder to any, Asian American, specifically in our case, Filipino American citizens and voters thinking and even considering of voting for the Republican Party. So let me just pull it up real quick on my phone, and then I can delete it because it's gross and I don't want to keep it.
Bright and articulate, and I guess I can call you.
I don't want to. Okay, so here we go. Okay, ready?
You are so bright and articulate, and I guess I can call you articulate since you're not an American black. Can't say that about them. That's derogatory. And that was a great opening segment. Lots of things to talk about there. Oh, and I agreed with many, many things you said during, in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian. We'll get back to that. And it's directly related to what you were just talking about. The thing about nationalism, you're totally right. It is like, to use the word nationalism, oh, it's Hitler, it's Hitler. And, Hitler had soup. That doesn't mean we shouldn't have soup. Hitler loved dogs. That doesn't mean you shouldn't love dogs. So I think we have to move past this. If Hitler did it, it must be bad. There is a core...
Wait, before we go on, did she just say... we have to move past, if Hitler did it, it must be bad? We need to move past that?
Wow.
Did she? Because I forgot that she said that shit, but did she said that shit out of her mouth, right? She said that. You confirmed that she said that shit, right?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So someone wants to move past.
That's the identity of the WASP. And that doesn't mean we can't take anyone else in, a Sri Lankan or a Japanese or an Indian, but the core around which the nation's values are formed is the WASP. We've never had a president who didn't have at least partial English ancestry.
Okay, wait. I want you to look at Vivek's face, guys. You see his face? You see that look of defeat on his face where he dedicated the past couple of years of his life for the acceptance of these people. And this bitch just told him, nope, sorry, you're Indian. I'd never vote for you. Look at his face. Do you want that to be your face? Don't look for the acceptance of these people. Don't ever do it, because you're barking up the wrong tree, because you're not going to get it, guys. I don't care how much money you make. And shout out to all those Filipinos who are apparently in the second highest ethnic group income, average income. Filipinos apparently are the second highest income ethnic group. They're averaging $101,000 a year. Not this Filipino, I'll tell you that right now. but I can't understand why any person of color would think that they would be accepted by this group of people, and they're not.
Or why they would want to.
It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of folks that do want to. Unfortunately, Chris, I mean, not that I've encountered it here in California, but when I travel to the Midwest, when I talk to my friends in the Midwest, when I talk to my friends, when I talk to my friends on the East Coast, it's a very different. I remember I was in a show in Virginia, and I had a conversation with one of the audience members, and he was trying to talk to me about how colonialism isn't really a thing.
Wow.
So, I mean, and then I won't even get into the comments whenever I go at Mr. Kurt or any of the other Caucasian Tagalog speakers on the internet that the Filipino American media always decides to prop up, and I always attack them online, and they always either block me or whatever else. Like, I mean, they're culture vultures, it's what they are. And if there's one Filipino American media outlet where you will never get that, where that's not big news, we'll talk about actual news and real news and issues that are, facing Filipinos and Filipino Americans and other people of color that, are just like us. They're all miscellaneous and brown, that's who I want to speak for, because those are the people who don't get a voice. We don't have a voice when it comes to that stuff. But then, you go back and rewind back to 1937 when they were trying to decriminalize, or when they were trying to criminalize marijuana, and they associated it with Negroes, Hispanics, and Filipinos and entertainers. They used the drug to lure white women away from away from their husbands, right? So this was not a drug that you want. This was decriminal, and now we're talking. Now it's being rescheduled because we're realizing that it's like a drug that has benefit, and it was all because some rich dude didn't want to compete with hemp paper because he had a paper mill. So he used his paper mill and his newspapers to print propaganda. And it shows the power of propaganda because you're still fighting with that propaganda even today, So, I mean, it's a trip to think how powerful that even now, this guy, 34 counts of guilty, 34 guys, remember 34, Sweetness. 34. Shout out to Sweetness, Walter Payton, the best running back ever. Don't ever at me at anything else, because I will not even entertain a debate on that question. Walter Payton is the best running back in NFL history forever and ever. Amen. But 34 counts of guilty. I mean, then there's still people defending him. And let's be honest and remind everybody what he's guilty of. If you forgot, because, people forget, how was your life better 4 years ago? The president was caught with a porn star, and she gave him a spanking on, his rump with a magazine with his face on it. And his only real compliment that she can remember is, "You remind me of my daughter." This is your king? This is your king? I'm Killmonger now. This is your king? For real? Yeah. This is the dude? This is the dude that you think is going to make America great again? The dude that got spanked by a porn star whilst his wife was with newborn child. Oh my God. I don't even want to talk about how tragic the life of Barron Trump is. You can see the sadness on that kid's face. It's just like his whole adolescence was vampired by his selfish ass father. Yeah. And even to the point where he used his son's high school graduation as an excuse to get out of a day of court so he wouldn't fall asleep and fart himself awake. Come on. This is the guy you want? Are you for real?
This is the guy.
I can't even, man. I almost don't want to get into how crazy it is, but I mean, and we're coming up on 40 minutes already.
So can I talk about a guy that we do want? I know I brought it up earlier.
And we should end it on a good note rather than my ridiculous. Look, my eyes are red. I've been screaming so loud already for this rant. So stupid.
No, we need that. We need, again, negative or whatever you want to call it. It is a reminder because people are quick and easy to forget what the last 4, 5, 6 years has been, right? But at the same time, we are also messengers for the good in our community. We have some amazing people that you have been fortunate to interview, people that you lift up and are lucky to have.
Before you keep going, I want to interrupt you because when this episode drops audio, I will be hosting an event for Isabel Gerardo, who is the first Filipino running to be the first Filipina on LA City Council, and I'll be co-hosting an event with her. So I'll have that event link in the description, so you could hit that if you want to be involved. If you're in SoCal and want to come down and be a part of that event, you can definitely do that before anything, because I wanted to make sure because it was in my head and I know I'd forget. But go ahead, keep going.
Perfect. Yes, that's a perfect segue because Isabel she's going to make history. I mean, you and I half joke about this. We've been joking about this for years, but it was something that you came up with during Filipino American History Month in 2020. It's Filipino American History Month. Let's make history. No, it's not October yet, but we are here to make history. And with city council, with local politics, with everything that you've put out there that we've talked about, how it's important for us to be able to distract ourselves from the global stuff that is just this incredibly painful energy that we get. The light at the end of the tunnel is very small, local, and focused on what we have in front of us. And Isabel is a great example of that. And she is just starting out, but to kind of converse that with somebody who has been there for decades, who started out with city council, I want to do a final plug and remind you all that we are on the brink of electing our first Filipino American state senator who will be representing District 3, which includes some of the most Filipino towns in California. Just let's not be mistaken. He is not just an amazing elected official, charismatic. He will be literally representing one of the biggest blocks of Filipinos in California, which is already a lot because we have more than half Filipino Americans that live in the state. So in the District 3 that encompasses Yolo County, Sonoma County, Vallejo, Fairfield, and his town, West Sacramento, for which he was the mayor of for decades, Christopher Cabaldon, is this amazing person that I've known for years, and I am still trying to get him on this podcast. He has such a busy schedule because he is still running for the general election in November. But for those of you who don't know who Christopher Cabaldon is, he's a transplant from LA. He is from LA. Went to school in Berkeley, served as West Sacramento mayor. He really just uplifted this town, right? I mean, he is credited for transforming the small town of West Sacramento, which is right next to Sacramento. Surprise, surprise. But he's turned this industrial town into this nationally awarded, nationally recognized America's most livable small city, and is one of the world's 21 smart cities to watch. And it's been recognized under his leadership. He's an educator who's been a professor at Sac State. He's been a vice chancellor at the state's community colleges. What else can I say? He's worked with Buttigieg. He's been appointed by Obama. He's been appointed by California governors, 5 California governors. Very proud Filipino American. I mean, I met him through community work. I didn't meet him as a politician. I met him because he is this amazing MC for a local nonprofit that helps API victims of domestic violence. And year after year, he is this amazing, again, charismatic, well-spoken, but just really funny and talented individual that hosts this nonprofit locally, and carries that into his leadership skills and exemplifies Filipino American politicians. So we are lucky that he is not just running, but will be the presumed first Filipino American state senator in California. So I'm hoping we can get him soon, before, during, or after he becomes senator. We're making that happen.
Before, during, or after, that won't matter, man. He sounds like a cool cat I'd want to talk to regardless of what happens. You know, he just seems like a cool dude. So I'm down for that. But I want to, before we wrap up, man, I gotta talk about you.
Oh, okay.
Because you are about to have your first improv show today, right?
Yes. And so, are you going to give me advice, or are you going to just take my place? Because that would be ideal if you could just.
No, I'm not taking your place. Will they fly me out and pay me my rate, bitch? No, they won't. So no, I already know them improv places. Well, they don't pay anybody. I flew to New York twice at the People's Improv Theater. It was great. It was a wonderful experience. But at the same time, I know those improv places don't be paying.
Yeah. So what do I need to do to prepare? Because it is tonight at the Sacramento Comedy Spot at 7:00. What do I need to do to prepare? I need to hear from.
Just breathe, man. Just breathe and listen. Listen. That will always be my always be the note that I would give any improv team. Listen to each other. And I'm not talking about like hear what they're saying. Listen. Because if you listen to the tone of their voice, listen to the accent, listen to the character that they're trying to build. Because if you can match that, or you can figure that out, those are the yes ands. Those are what give you the yes ands in your head. You know what I'm saying? Is when you listen for that stuff. So, and then sometimes the suggestion sparks it and you jump out. If you have that, that impetus to jump out, jump, dude, jump. And
Okay.
and the improv gods will catch you. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have a good initiation, be strong, jump and do it,
Yeah.
And if it's not, and it's something you want to hold back and listen and find that inspiration for that initiation, do that too. It's patience, listening, and then once it's time to go, hit it hard.
Go. Okay.
But
Thank you.
I just basically gave you a little sports speech. That's basically all I did. No, but being real, like just stay in the moment. That's the best part of it, because those are my funnest. There are some improv sets that I did in Chicago when I was first starting that I don't know that I'll ever forget in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like savor those moments, because those are really wonderful moments where you start to really find your voice, you find your comedy through your improv, because those initiations, those acting on your impulses, those are going to be the times where you're going to find the gold, and you're going to be able to build on that and write on it and go forward with it. So yeah, man, you're going to be fine. You don't need anybody to replace you. Plus, man, I got plantar fasciitis. I can't be Yeah, man, but bro, I'm so happy that we were able to talk on this day, especially because, again, just to remind everybody,
34
guilty counts. Homie is guilty on all 34 counts, and they took like a half a day to do that shit. They were like, "Yep, he's guilty." Yeah. It was quick. That's what I was worried about, because I was like, "Oh shit!" I mean, they went and they asked for some information yesterday, and I was like, okay, well, maybe that's going to take a little while. So maybe it's going to take a little while for them to deliberate. Maybe I will get a verdict, and we'll be competing with the podcast that release tomorrow. And then, it's going to, but nope. It was today. And
today's the day.
I almost want to release this podcast. I'm going to release a video of this on our YouTube channel, the 1-2 Production. Please like, subscribe, comment if you disagree with us. Comment if you think I'm ugly. I don't give a fuck. Comment, say shit, talk, comment, and like and subscribe. And if you like it, share it with your friends and share this podcast with your friends, because we're going to be here every Friday, and we're going to be consistent every week, so that we can keep you current on what's going on in our ridiculous, crazy world, but also with a little brown Filipino spin on it. You know what I'm saying? So what do you think, Chris? Did you have fun today?
Always. Like, it's just always so fun chatting with you. You're always a wealth of knowledge, but also just like your support always just like motivates me, drives me to do whatever. And so I'm just happy to have like at least a few minutes of your time every week. And this is just something I look forward to all the time. So thank you. This is amazing.
Of course, brother. Of course. So again, like, subscribe, and we'll be here next week.
Perfect.
Peace. 34 counts! That bitch is guilty!
I don't think you want any problems, but you got one. Here we go. You can see the size is colossal. Look at the way she make the thing go. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic press. That's what you call an earthquake. Ayy. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic press. That's what you call an earthquake. Ayy.
It's summertime, starting up a heat wave, and now all weekend, hardly slept in 3 days. Whoever's driving the car's the DJ. When it's Q, y'all better pump that bass. The dominance is obvious, I guillotine, heads roll everywhere I go, I rep Philippines. Found my way, turn amaze to amazing. Infinite flows discovered in an ancient spaceship. I see things before they happen, visionary. Bury me inside a studio at the cemetery. My modus operandi not monetary. Noah Lazarus, the holy one out the monastery. So let me see your cue, plus the Y, that's the crew. I'm a giant, how I grew, still connected to my roots. Rhymes, I kick it like Bruce, got me feeling like Zeus. Standing tall like Manu, to reach this level need a boost.
I don't think you want any problems, but you got one. Here we go. You can see the size is colossal. Look at the way she make the thing go. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic press. That's what you call an earthquake. Ayy. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic that's what you call an earthquake. Ayy.
Smoother than Brazilian wax that's interact. My life a cinematic reflection in the mirror max. With the pros I'm proliferating. She said my syntax sounds so scintillating. Flavormatics on the beat savory. Being scared still doing it, that's bravery. Hunger turn us into savages. Ain't nobody give us nothing, had to do it alone without a loan. Like Nora from Queens, Aquafina had the shell toe. Adidas used to hang with the drug dealers. Been doing this since cassette tapes in my Walkman, writing rhymes on the subway. Traditions I carry on, hip hop scholar, mastered in the street science. Raw diamonds I refine with the stars in alignment. Got the youth to the truth. On the tree of knowledge, squeeze forbidden fruit and made it juice.
I don't think you want any problems, but you got one, here we go. You can see the size is colossal. Look at the way she make the thing go. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic plates, that's what you call an earthquake, ayy. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic plates, that's what you call an earthquake, ayy. I just wanna dance all night, wanna dance all night, wanna dance all night with you. I just wanna dance all night, wanna dance all night, wanna dance all night with you.